Okay, underneath that Mercury finger, this is where your marriage and relationship lines are going to show as a horizontal lines. They come from the outside of the hand in towards the palm. And then the children lines are little tiny short lines that come right down from the ring around that Mercury finger. See the little lines there that come right down from the ring around that Mercury finger? I get 3 children lines, several grandchildren. I couldn't count them all. They will show you. Read from the inside out. You start, the first child is the first line towards the middle of the palm, and then the next child is the second child is the one next to that going towards the outside of the hand. All right, see where the flirt lines are at the end of the heart line. Yours are pretty good. That means you interact well with people. And then you read up. That first section, first third is about age 20, 30, and the next third's about 40, 50, and the last third's about 60, 70, 80. So I get 2 lines in there, and you didn't say if you'd been married before, if you'd had relationships or anything, but I'm going to have to assume that first line, and that's the horizontal line that's in red, it was a relationship earlier in your life, maybe in your 20s. Then I get a really good marriage line, very good, nice color. It's quite long, and I got a note there, did you marry in your early 30s? Because it looks to me like you've got, sometimes you can see when the marriage line is off that lifeline, and it looked like it was in the early 30s. I don't think you'll have more children. No, those other lines are grandchildren lines. They're way too light. And I don't think you'll have another marriage either. But this is a good long one. And you didn't tell me when you married, so that kind of stifles me as far as telling you how long that's going to be. It looks like it's 40 or 50 years long. Well, let's see if it's 50. That puts you in your 80s, which is pretty good for men, because men usually die 6 to 8 years before women because they have a weaker DNA. They have an XY DNA, and women have an XX DNA, and they generally outlive the men by about 6 to 8 years. Okay, let's do your money line here. Your money line is that, can you see it underneath that Mercury finger? It's in red. It's vertical. It starts at the end of the headline, and it goes up towards that Mercury finger, just the inside of that Mercury finger. The explanation's in between the Mercury and the Sun finger. 2 lines, 2 incomes. That means 2 incomes in your 20s and 30s and half of your 40s. That section between the headline and the heart line, that's your 20s, 30s, and 40s, half of your 40s. Then when that crosses that heart line, that becomes 45. That's the other half of your 40s. So you got 2 lines incomes in your 20s, 30s, and half of your 40s, then 1 line in your later 40s. Oh, you're already past that part. And then 2 lines in your 50s and 60s. That was good. That was a good money line with the 2 lines in there, the good strong lines. And then it's back to just 1 line for your 70s and 80s. A very good money line. Okay, lines on the top of that lifeline. Look in your upper left-hand corner of your chart. These are lines that will come off the top of that lifeline. They'll sometimes point to the Jupiter finger, or they'll point right straight up. If they're a real dark line, I've circled it, or if they're a real long line, I've circled it. That means an extra good achievement. So here's the ages when you have the achievement lines at 12, upper right-hand corner, your upper left-hand corner of your chart. Ages 12, 15, 18, 23, 26, 32, 35, and that's where I saw that little break in your lifeline, about age 35. And then age 39, good one at 41, 43, 45, 48 right now, 50, 54, circled at 55, circled at 57, 60 doubles circled at 64. A good achievement at 64. 67 and 69. And by that time it's got clear around the back of the thumb and I can't read it any longer. There to your sixth sense. That's a little mount that shows up right underneath your Jupiter finger. Little fat pad in there. That's your intuition. Yours is fair. It didn't sit up too high, but it's fair. Here's how that works. Remember, that's your sixth sense or your intuition. If you've got a problem you got to solve, just clear your mind completely for about 30 minutes and let it go. Don't even think about the problem. And when you come back to solve the problem, you'll probably have it solved because that gives your intuition time or your sixth sense time to kick in and solve the problem for you. So listen to little promptings inside your head. First thing you need to know is your left hand is your past, your right hand is your present and your future. It does not matter what handed you are. The left is the past, the right is the present. Then the length of your fingers are your talents. Everyone has talents. No one gets cheated. So long fingers mean one thing, short fingers mean another thing. Nothing's good or bad. Your palm shape is possibly your most important talent. And you got kind of a mixture. There's square, there's round, there's long. You got a musician's hand. It's a little tiny bit square at the top of the palm and very rounded at the bottom of the palm. You got a musician's hand because it's a combination of the athletic and artistic. Upper right hand corner of the chart. Type of fingertips. The type of fingertips is your personality. Oh, yours are all round, intuitive, quick, very compassionate. Generally I see those in the health field, the doctors, the nurses. Right, you got another compassionate marking in your hand too. Okay, jump back down there to the thumb. Oh, this is nice. Your thumb is very short. When you have a short thumb, you work very well with numbers. You're good at math. Now let's see, that Jupiter finger is a little bit long. Let me explain the names on these fingers. Palmistry is about 2,000 or 3,000 years old. And they went through, they named all the fingers. They named different areas of the palm, generally with names of Greek gods or goddesses or astrological names. So that index finger is the Jupiter, the middle finger is the Saturn finger, the ring finger is the Sun or the Apollo finger, and the little finger is the Mercury finger. Now that space in between the head and the heart line, that is called the Mars area, clear across the palm. And then that kind of fat pad right there at the base of the thumb is called the Mount of Venus. Venus, goddess of love. And by the way, you're very dehydrated in that area. That area is going to tell you if you're getting enough water in your body or not. And you want to see a nice big old fat pad in there. So fat you can't even pick up the skin. And you're getting too many little wrinkles in there. I saw too many little shades and little crevices in there. It means you're not hydrated enough. Got to drink 32 ounces of water a day. Keeps yourself hydrated. Your body can live without food for a while, but boy, it can't live without water. Back up to that Jupiter finger here. That Jupiter finger now, that's the index finger. Oh, that's quite long. That's great. That's a good long finger. The boss finger, the manager, the supervisor. Teaching, sales finger. The Saturn finger, the middle one, needs to be about the length of the palm. That's not quite long enough. If it's real long, you're good business sense. You're just out to make a lot of money. But when it's kind of short, you're concerned with social issues. Very compassionate, very caring about your fellow man. Now that Sun finger and the Mercury finger are kind of in relation to the right brain and the left brain. The Sun's the right brain, the Mercury finger is the left brain. Oh, that Sun finger is a little bit short too. you're very practical, systematic, organized. A place for everything and everything in its place. You're real fussy about where things go. Mercury finger, it's a little bit short, a hands-on person, very active. Paperwork is not your favorite thing to do. If that finger's real long, you love paperwork. It's the writer's finger. But short, you're a hands-on person, you're a very active person when you're working. So go down to the lower left-hand corner of your chart, your guardian angels, on the left hand only. You'll get a line that comes up and it touches on that lifeline. It's a good timeline on that lifeline. It starts between the thumb and the Jupiter finger at about age 10. And about every eighth of an inch is about a year. About every half an inch is about 7 years. So the line will come up and touch at the bottom of that lifeline in your left hand only, and then it makes a little line that goes across, and that's the age you were when someone died that you have bonded to, and they become a guardian angel to you. So like your grandparents, your parents, your siblings, your aunties, your uncles, your cousins, old boyfriends, old girlfriends. Remember, this is the age you were when they died. And they become a guardian angel to you. So down in the lower left-hand corner where it says guardian angels in purple, this is the age you were when they died. 13, 20, 28, 31, 41, 45, and 47. Now on your right hand only, if you get the line that comes up underneath the lifeline and it touches, it'll touch on the lifeline, but it does not make a little line that goes across. That is a little visit from a guardian angel. So sometimes you'll have a little visit from a guardian angel if you've been really sick, or if you had an accident or an injury, or if you're in real distress, or if you have someone that has died that you have bonded to, like your grandparents or parents. When their spirit leaves their body, sometimes it'll go around and check on all their loved ones before they go off into the light. And so it'll make a little visit from a guardian angel line on that right hand. So here's your visits from guardian angels. On the right hand at age 12, at age 13, now that's when someone passed away you're bonded to. 16, 28, 28's another one that had passed. 38, 45, 45's another one, and 48. Now we are down to the head and the spine line. If you'll look at your left hand, you'll see a big difference in that head and spine line. In your left hand, see how that line goes? That starts between your thumb and your index finger, your Jupiter finger, and it goes across, supposed to go clear across your palm. Yours goes across in your left hand and dips clear down. That is a depression line when it tips down like that on the end. But then when you get over to your right hand, now that was your left hand where it dipped down so far, it doesn't dip down quite as bad. You've got a little island, that's a break in the energy. You got a little island right at the first start of that head and spine line. And the head line drops way down on the left hand at the end. And then it doesn't do so bad in the right hand. And my guess is you're on antidepressant medication, because it'll do that. Remember, your right hand is your working hand, and your left hand is what you're born with. So the depression line isn't as bad in that right hand as it is in the left hand. It's terrible. It looks to me like you've had a head injury. And then you got quite an island right there at the first of that line. The nerves, when they go out into the body, they intermesh with the muscles. boy, if those nerves get pinched, they send a little pain signal in to the muscles, and the muscles interact. They make a muscle spasm. It keeps the vertebrae turned out of place. I'm not telling you this because I'm just a palm reader. I've got a master's degree in health education. So when I was a later student, I was in my 40s, and I started reading these palmistry books when I was finishing my master's degree in health ed, and it all fit together so much. And I got an old book that was published back in the 50s by a Dr. Eugene Scheiman. He's a medical doctor, and he was telling how all the health stuff showed in the hands. And boy, he's right. That whole spine shows right on that line, that head and spine line. The health of your spine is going to show on there. So, and that's what your line is showing, is when that tips down on the end, it's showing that is a major depression line. That's what makes me think that you got hurt up in that skull, because C1, C2 are called the atlas and the axis, and they sit up underneath that skull, right at the back. So underneath that Jupiter finger, then, it's going to show your cervical vertebrae, 1 through 7. And it'll be, I will have marked little red circles in there where you're out of place. Then, underneath that Satyr finger, that is your thoracic vertebrae, 1 through 12. And you're out all along, almost all the way through there. A couple of places you're not out. If you're out of place at the top part of your spine, it's going to throw you out the opposite way in your lower spine to compensate so you can stand up straight. Otherwise, you'd be walking a little crooked. So you're out a couple of places there. Oh, you are out in most of that whole thoracic area. And then you're out right in that lumbar area. That's 2, 3, 4 lumbar area. That's right where your male nerves, your prostate, your, what is that? Oh, I've got to look on the page here. Prostate, your testicles, that's, you're all out in that area, in that lower part of that spine. Oh, let me tell you though, a little therapy. Here's something you can do to pop that neck area in. If you put your arms right out, I had an old doctor show me this. If you put your arms right out, straight out in front of you, and you lock your fingers together, now turn your palms over backwards and raise your arms straight above your head so your palms are facing the ceiling. Now push your arms back. Remember, keep your arms straight. Now push your arms backward. Back behind your head. And you'll hear it go pop, 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 pop. That is those vertebrae right at the base of that neck. Usually that 6C, 7C, 1T, 2T. That area right there where you bend over those darn computers all the time. I used to read palms in the 1995, 96, 97, and I didn't see people out of place at the base of their neck. But boy, since the advent of the computer, almost everybody all around the world, I get hands from Pakistan and Japan and the Philippines. I get hands all over. Almost everybody's out of place in that neck area because of the computers, because you lean over those darn computers all the well, I do too, and it just stresses the base of that neck. Pop that back in place. It looks to me like you're going to have to go see a chiropractor. Oh, well, you are, because you're going to have some cranial work done. Now, this a chiropractor that does the craniosacral work, the top 2 vertebrae, the C1, C2, they have to have an extra 18 months of training. And it's called craniosacral therapy. And what they do is they generally go in through the mouth and they massage those nerves. That nerves all end from the top of that spine. They all end in the roof of the mouth. And they massage the inside of that mouth because they can feel which nerves are being stressed. And that relaxes the nerves a little bit. And then they just take their thumbs and they move that C1, C2 back in place. So you're going to have to get a doctor that's trained to do craniosacral work. And you'll have to ask them if they've had the extra training. Some of them have a new little machine. Excuse me, it's called an orthogonal machine. And they just lay you on the table and they pull this little machine over. And it sends a little vibration down in there and it goes zzzz. I guess that's what it is. I had to take my granddaughter in and have her had it done on her when she had a car wreck. And it just goes zzzz. And then he just sets up and just puts those vertebrae back in place. Oh, she was having headaches so bad it was terrible. And ever since, she hasn't had a headache. There's another line in there. It's called the helpline. Can you see it? Look where that depression line shows. Look right underneath that and it'll say helpline. That is your internal organs. And usually they're the organs kind of in the lower part of your body. Your colon, your stomach, your spleen, your liver. And you're getting some slight stress on there because you're getting 2 or 3 lines in there. And you should have just one clean line. And I think one of those lines was broken. So the helpline's kind of messed up. Now you get that spine straightened up and all those little marks are going to go away in your hands and you'll just have nice clean lines going along there. That little tail on the end of that headline will drop. That'll just go away. It'll just kind of disappear. It takes about 3 months for your hands to kind of heal up after you get your spine straightened up. Okay, Heartlines looks really good. That should start in between the Jupiter and Saturn fingers, and it comes down, makes a nice curve, and then goes to the outside of the hand where the flirt lines are. Yours has got a really nice curve in it. Means you're very loving and caring. And now look up there in the upper left-hand corner of your chart where it says lines of energy, and run your finger down where it says island. See that little oval to the side there? You don't want to see any of those in your lines. It's a break in the energy of that line. You got one little tiny one there, kind of under that sun finger, but you don't want to see those all along your heart line. It means some stress in that heart line. And basically, your heart health's fairly good. Plus, you got that nice curve in there. Oh, anybody would be jealous of that. I don't see them that very often. Okay, let's see where we're down to. We're down to the lifeline. The lifeline is your lungs and your breathing, your pulmonary system. Let me see if you had any breaks. Oh, you had a little tiny slight break in that pulmonary line right around age 35. That line shouldn't break at all. If you quit breathing, you'd be dead if you had a big break in it. Sometimes if you had an operation, it'll break that line because you're on artificial, or you're on oxygen, or you're on artificial breathing. So then it generally breaks that line, but it overlaps the line, or if you've had the breath knocked out of you. So I say you had a little slight break there in that lifeline, about around age 35, 36, somewhere. I have to count that with my pencil. Every 1/8 of an inch is about a year. So sometimes I'm off a year or two. Maybe that's when you had that accident. Maybe that's when you got your spine kind of jammed, is around that age. Okay, there's 3 things that we read off that lifeline. Your guardian angels, who they are. If you've ever had a visit from a guardian angel, that's the lines that come up to the bottom of that lifeline. And then your achievement lines, which show on the top of that lifeline. Okay, your last line now is your fate line. That's the one that starts at the base of your palm, and it goes up to that Saturn finger only. If it goes anywhere else, it's not your fate line. Yours was a little bit hard to read because it kind of slid over and touched on that lifeline, then it moved back into place. That's what makes me think that you might have had a kind of a head injury. If that goes right down the middle of your hand, your palm, if it starts down the middle, you're a private person. You have to have a little private space. But if it starts way to the outside of the palm, you're very sociable and you like to have your friends and family around you all the time. Yours is kind of private. You have to have a little private space. Okay, lower in your lower right-hand corner of your chart, fate line, indicates your career and your lifestyle. Doesn't tell me which. Anytime you get a break in that line, it's a change in either one or the other, the career or the lifestyle. So here's the changes. I've circled the important ones. Age 24, 29, 44. Now where that crosses over that headline, that's about age 40. 44, and then there's a big break in there. See right there in between the head and the heart line? See how that breaks and moves over there to the right? That's age 44 right there. And then it crosses over that heart line about age 50. Another big break, that's another big change. And then it just runs one line up to 60. And then at 60, from 60 clear up to 80, where the ring is around the base of the Saturn finger, that's age 80. I get 2 lines, that's 2 jobs going at the same time. Or 2 responsibilities. Could be a hobby and a job. Or it could be 2 income producing jobs. And then that hits that ring around the base of Saturn. And it changes to 1 line that goes up to age 84. Now at this point you're going to live till 84. If you get that spine straightened out, I'll bet you'll live longer than that. But your hand is going to show what health you're in right at the present time.
Now we compare the 3 lines to discover what will happen in this gentleman's life at around his late 40s, early 50s. For example, here you see 1 income stream in the late 40s, and then that changes to 2 incomes in the early to mid 50s. You'll see the fate line confirms these changes in lifestyle in the late 40s and early to mid 50s. So, when you compare the jobs, fate line shows 1 job, and streams of income, money line, shows 2. That would indicate that there is most likely money coming in from an investment or a spouse or possibly inheritance. So, when we look at the achievement lines, it shows successes at ages 48, 50, 54, and some big wins at 55 and 57. And that's the big picture, how it all comes together.